Someone just put the goal in.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Tēnā koutou katoa, and welcome to the Waimairi Fendalton-Waimairi-Harewood Community Board. So we will open the meeting for Monday, the 11th of July, 2022 at 4:31 p.m. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge that you might notice there's a few board members missing around the table. However, they are present with us on Zoom. So we have some of our, we have all of our councillors and also some of our other community board members on Zooms. They are here with us for the meeting. And just for those that are tuning in through Zoom, typical housekeeping. So if you could all have your videos on so we can see your faces clearly, and if you could keep yourself on mute until you have a question or a comment you would like to raise, and we will use the raise hand function if you do have a question. However, if we miss it, which can happen because we can't see all of you on the screen at once, then please feel free to unmute yourself and just bring it to our attention that you have a question. Similar as last time, when we do any moving, we're going to be asking for obviously a mover, a seconder, and then we'll say all those in favour say aye, and I'll pause for what will feel like an awkwardly long time. That's just to make sure we capture everyone, and then I will say any against, and then we will either move it or not. So we will move on. Oh, and yeah, we've got everyone, so don't need to do apologies. So moving on to item 1, apologies, which we have none, but I'm raising it now if anyone has an apology for early departure. No? Okay, great. Moving on to item number 2, declarations of interest. Oh, and sorry, just another housekeeping mention, just while it's top of mind, we are live streaming as well. So this is live streamed. So for those online, just make a note of that, and also for those in the gallery too. So sorry, moving on to item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest anyone would like to raise within the agenda? No? Great. Moving on to item number 3, confirmation of the previous minutes.
So moved.
Excellent. So that was Mike to move. Is there a seconder?
I'm happy to second.
I see Sharisha's hand to second. I'll just wait until. Oh, I can't see it yet. That's right, I can see your laptop. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we've got Mike to move, Sharisha second. All those in favour say aye.
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 Any against? No, carried, great. Moving on to item number 4, public forum. So we do have Ronald Wallace here today. Welcome, Ronald, if you'd like to come to the table. So with public forum, it's 5 minutes, and that includes questions. And unfortunately, we're not in a position to make any decisions today, but we are active listeners.
Yeah.
So please feel free to take a seat, and we would love to hear what you have to say.
Sorry, but I'm a visitor in your area. Actually, come over and visit family. And I've noticed the gutters down Brookside Terrace from Island Road down to Harewood Road. They haven't been changed. Nothing's been done to them for 10 years. When you get a heavy rain, all the leaves in that gather in the gutter. And if it gets real heavy, all the leaves get pushed out on the road. And some of the gutters sometimes can't even step over my son's driveway because of the water that's come transferred up there and onto the road. And I'm just wondering, why it hasn't, I even noticed here, all the leaves, every summer or winter for the last 10 years, autumn, it's always been like that. Nothing's changed for them. And it makes me real sad that, we're living in a city that areas have been forgotten, others are having heaps of money spent on. And this area here looks like it's been depleted somehow. And it really hurts me. Like I come over Queen's birthday weekend, actually swept the gutter out to try and get rid of some of the water. You push it up, it just come back again into the same spot.
Yeah, thank you. So, Ronald, I'm not sure if you prefer to be called Ron or Ronald.
Ron will do fine.
Ron will do, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Very articulate. And the point is very clearly raised. I'm going to ask if there's anyone who has any questions for Ron, either on, Mike.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. Is it a Cuban channel or is
It's
it
a
the old?
curve. It's actually the whole.
It's not the old,
channel's
the
too low.
old
It's
rubbish.
dropped. it's dropped in the earthquake, I think.
Yep.
It's a whole, go all the way down.
Yep.
Sorry, I forgot to say, Sam McDonald, I think, I've actually got photos on my phone.
Yep.
And I think Sam McDonald is it?
Yep.
I sent him the photos that I took.
Okay.
And I actually took some today because I actually called in to see my son
Yep.
and my
No,
grandchildren.
can I say we sympathise with you?
Thank you.
I'm in an area which has the same problem.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how everyone else is covered.
Yeah, no.
I just like if possible something can, I know election time's coming up and I think there's going to be. I don't know how you get onto a board or something like that, but I'll be interested to try and, like I'm my neighbour and I'd like to try and get involved in the community if I can and help.
Well, thank you. I'm a big fan of active citizenship. So this is a great example of that coming to public forum. Marianne, so she just made a suggestion. So Sam, can you hear us? Yep, perfect.
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Do you mind sending those photos that Rowan sent to you onto Aidan and Marianne, and we can see whether they can forward them on to the relevant person to see what can be done? And
Yeah, well, it may look like I'm doing something else. I'm not. I've literally been looking through my emails and I can't find them. So when did you see? Well,
I'm not too sure, but I've got them still on my phone.
Okay.
And I took some
Yeah.
today as well.
if you're happy to resend them to me, usually I see that stuff and that one hasn't come through. So if you send it through, or if Marianne can give you her email address there, one of us can certainly help out.
I actually sent them on Messenger.
Right. Might have been an email, but yeah,
Okay.
it might be
Yeah.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about, well, then directly could either Aidan or Marianne get your contact details before you leave, and then you can cut the middleman.
I can do that.
Yeah, okay.
So Lisa will read his email.
All right, yeah,
Oh,
Lisa, Lisa's just in the gallery, so she can get your contact details. We've got a bit more time, but is there any other questions for Ron before?
No, just thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ron.
Just one thing, if you want to stand for a board, your nearest one, if you live in Aranui,
Yes.
would be Linwood,
Coastal.
Coastal.
Harewood.
I suggest you go along to some of their meetings and you'll get a flavour. Because you won't be out of place.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's okay. Well, thank you for listening to me.
Oh, thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Ron.
Ron. Thank you for your time. Yeah, so there's Lisa, so feel free to get in touch with her. Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good idea.
So moving on to item number 5, deputations by appointment, which there were none, which brings us to item number 6, presentation of petitions, which there were none as well, which brings us to item number 7, the joint meeting that we had with the Horswell Hornby Brickerton community, and it's for the minutes on the 4th of July of 2022. So is there a mover for?
To move it.
Oh, thank you, Linda. And a seconder.
I'm happy to second this. None of those.
Mike second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried. Great. Moving on to item number 8, the relocation of existing bus stops. So this is Somerset on Cavendish, and we have Georgia here with us to present the report. Welcome, Georgia. And we have Mike. Yes, hello, Mike. Now, Georgia, I believe this is your first time presenting.
Yes, it
So it will be nice.
Yeah, so I guess I'm the new traffic engineer for Fendalton-Waimairi-Harewood. This request was raised through the Residents Association at the Somerset Village, and they were having trouble with visibility when turning out of the village entrance. So we have kind of moved the bus stop that was down Cavendish Road. We've moved it just to the parking bay along, which is closest to the entrance, and we've moved the parking that was there just back to where the bus stop was. Yeah. So any questions?
We might have one from Mike.
Yeah, I went and had a look at it yesterday, and there was about 4 cars parked where the old bus stop was, or where the bus stop is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be moved back. The only thing I thought about, why isn't it yellow lines all the way through to allow the vision? But then I realised sitting here under the guidance of my chair made a suggestion, could be because the buses are taller. Buses, you can't see past the bus if you're coming out the gate. But if you're a motorist in a car, you're about to see it quite easily.
Yeah.
Is that the only reason? Well,
So
or
is
a
that
reason?
for where it's proposed?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the yellow lines, the no stopping restrictions will be that whole bay.
That will be okay.
so it's going to be, there'll be no parking from there.
Yeah, so that first whole bay will be
Yep.
no parking. There'll be the bus stop and then, yeah, no stopping restrictions on either side.
Excellent. I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Yeah.
Well done.
We'll just ask if there, is there any other questions for those that are zooming in? Any questions? I do just have sort of one question. I'm assuming that because this was brought up by the residents, they would prefer to have the ability to see at the cost of those car parks being removed.
Yeah, so they're being removed there, but they're being displaced down. Yeah, it's not too far away. So yeah, but it was definitely preferred to have the visibility. Yeah.
All right, so Michael's to move. Is there a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Linda. All those in favour say aye.
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 Any against? No, carried. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Good
Georgia.
job done.
Welcome.
Good
Welcome to the
report,
board.
too.
Thank you. Excellent.
Just before you go,
Yeah,
I found a very good report, all the information that
Yeah,
yeah.
I haven't seen before, so
yeah, I think
well done.
that's,
Hear that, Georgia? Yeah, yeah.
is that done by you or the residents?
So I did the report, but the residents have also done, there was an attachment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the residents had done like a traffic survey and they had also done their own web report. So yeah, it was really good.
Well done.
Very collaborative.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item number 9, the new deed of lease, High Performance Sport New Zealand Apollo Centre Jolly Park. So we have Grant, I believe we have David and Trish. Kia ora. Please feel free to come to the
Take one of
table.
those things. Next to you.
Good afternoon. So I'm just here to answer any more questions that you've got around the new lease to High Performance Sport New Zealand.
All right.
If you've got any,
Yeah.
it's good if you don't.
No, it's good. Well, I'll first see if there are any questions from the board. And or maybe I'll see if there's anyone on Zoom. Have you got any questions for item 9? No? Oh, sorry, Shreesh, yes.
So the proposed 4-year term, is that standard or are we carrying forward something? So what's the,
It's just to allow for Harakiori Metro Sport Centre to be built. And I'm not saying it's going to take 4 more years. I don't know. But so it's just to allow for any crossover in that so that they've got a home in the meantime, at least in the meantime.
I guess I got a bit of a question, but I know this sort of ties into the other stuff to do with the Apollo Centre. But would you mind talking, so this is obviously quite straightforward, it's renewing the lease, but what are the steps going forward with the centre? What does that look like? We're just quite keen to get maybe a bit of an update if we can,
Sure.
and just a bit of some timing around it.
David,
Sure.
share to
Yeah.
talk to.
Yep, I can talk to that a bit. So in regards to once High Performance New Zealand move out, we've been through a process, a request for proposal process recently to see if there was another group that could go in. So Sport NZ would like to give the facility to if there are the suitable community recreation group. So we've been through that process. We've recently completed that process and we do have a successful applicant from that. So we have just closed off the RFP in terms of notifying the groups that were involved. And we're sort of going through the next steps right now, which is through the lease application process for a ground lease. And so we're asking the group to put forward that application so that we can go through the ground lease process, and that will be the public notice and public consultation period that happens, and any objections through the hearings panel process as well. So we're going through those steps right now. And yeah, I think that sort of
So
covers.
that's when it will come back to the community board for a decision.
But when it comes to a public notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it will definitely come back to the community board for a decision. That the applicant at the moment, they're meeting with Sport NZ, because Sport NZ's building to gifts. And so it's been a joint process with council staff and Sport NZ staff. And so once they've done that, but they're going to want to come along and meet the board and the neighbours and sort of say, this is who we are, this is what we'd like to do, we'd like now to apply for a ground lease for that process to continue. And we just need to give them time to have those discussions and release them themselves. There were a couple of matters that when we came to the board a while ago that were wanted to be addressed through the process to make sure we eliminated the financial risks and addressed some of the traffic issues that have been raised through initial consultation. And both of those were considered as part of the RFP process. And we had those both independent, they're assessed by experts to sort of say, can they do this successfully? And both, and they got a tick for both items, which would would eliminate the risk, financial risk to council and the ratepayer, and minimise the traffic issues. And so that's one of the reasons they got through as the preferred candidates. And so I'll talk to that more when they get to the stage of applying for a ground lease.
Right. So if we wanted to see what the other applicants were,
yeah,
or the other like runners up, so to speak,
yeah,
when will the board get the opportunity to review that information?
So what we could do, if you'd like, is we could come back and have a briefing with the community board about the RFP and share that information and comments at that time.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, yeah, okay.
So that's something that we could arrange with Miriam for a time that would suit. I think there's a briefing slot on 20.
Yeah, okay. We'll leave that conversation to you both, through email or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, sounds great. That's so then timing the public forum, what does that time look like? Sorry, the public notice, what timing are you looking for that?
So we're working through that right now as we speak. So just depending on the ground lease application and how long that will take, we're sort of hoping, what are we now, middle of July? So maybe beginning of August, hopefully-ish, we'll be ready to go out with that public notice. And then looking at booking in, if needed, if a hearings panel was needed, that would be post-election period. So towards the end of the year, November, December, that would happen. So we're working through that timeline right now, hoping maybe in the next month or so that public notice will go out, and therefore the applicant will be publicly notified.
Great, okay. And last call, any questions for those Zooming? No? Okay, well then, for item 9, do we have a mover for the new deed of lease?
Happy to move.
Thank you for moving.
Happy to second.
Thank you, David. All those in favour say aye.
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 Any against? No, carried. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
For your time.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. And moving on to item number 10 for the discretionary response fund, which I think Lisa is, Lisa's just chatting. So
She's at the door.
yeah, that's right. Okay, well, should we move on? Should we just hold that and then move on to item 9?
Don't worry about it. You're still talking around.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right, we're just going to hold fire and see if we can find Lisa. Hi, Lisa. You are up for item number 10 for the discretionary response fund. The files were so big and they just wouldn't seem.
Sorry to disturb your lovely chat with Ron.
It's totally fine. We've got 2 YDFs here that we've had to take right to the DRF because the 2022-23 YDF is yet to be established.
And these young people are travelling away before it's established. So they're travelling, I think it's mid-July and end July. So we've got one very talented young man who's going to the World Rowing Championships at huge expense. I think it's costing about $7,000 for the trip. He will be fundraising and working to try to earn more money for that. And he resides in Ireland, so there's that one there. Very talented, won numerous Māori Cup medals and is excelling in the sport of rowing, and that's Angus. And then we have Isla, who is competing in the gymnastic championships in Invercargill. So she's going down with Marion. No, she's not. She's going down with her club, and she attends Marion College and resides in Casebrook. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that. Any questions for Lisa for item 10? No? Well, I'm happy to move. Is there a seconder?
David, oh,
Oh, I saw Jason's hand go up. All right, Jason, a second.
aye.
Oh, hold on. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No? Great, fantastic. Okay, it's carried. Oh,
They fit
thanks,
my
Lisa.
criteria.
Pardon me?
They fit my criteria. Canterbury Sports Foundation.
I gave the young man your details,
Yep.
actually, Angus. Yep.
All right, item number 11, the Community Board Area Report from Marianne.
Thank you, Bridget. I'll take the report as read, just highlight a couple of things. We've done the wee consultation with Tall Tree residents about the possibility of planting some more trees. So we'll just give people a little bit longer to come back to Avon. We've had about 7 come back already.
Yeah, they're about.
So we'll collate those when they're in and present that to you guys when you come to looking at making it a priority or not. The community safety initiative, so to wind up the Avonhead Russley one, the expo is being held on the 7th of August at Russley School, and the Bishopdale one is well underway. The booklet's been delivered and Natalie's just currently working on getting a meeting with the new working group for people in that area and looking at the survey and what might go out in the safety survey to Bishopdale. As you will be aware, we had a really successful community service awards function the other night and getting some really good feedback from people that received awards and that were nominators that attended the awards. You'll recall that you gave some funding through your discretionary response fund recently to the Burnside Park Tennis Club, and I've sent through some photos of the work being done and the final result of the new roof. They're really, really wrapped with it. We had a community liaison meeting, summer with your neighbours, groups of feedback, how it went, and it's just nice to note there that due to COVID, one of the groups, rather than getting some of their elderly neighbours together and kind of putting them at risk, they just developed these little Easter packages and actually went around the street and delivered them, which was quite lovely. Just another example of people adapting and doing things a little bit differently in our new environment. And then the community capacity building series that Natalie and Karen have been organising for community groups. This last one was delivered by NetSafe about staying online and avoiding scams and all that kind of thing. And they had it at St Christopher's in Avonhead. 150 people turned up to the actual event at St Christopher's, but then we had other groups that were joining online, another 10 or so connections, and they were in little smaller groups in other places watching it together. And again, the feedback from that has been wonderful. And Natalie and Karen are keen to replicate it and run it in different parts of the board area over the coming year. And then we've got the community consultations that are out. And we did miss one that got a consultation that opened just as this report closed, and that was on the Christchurch Smart Cities or Smart Christchurch, something like that, has opened as well, but it did miss the deadline for this report. And then we have our attachments of our funding update for the year and our hybris reports. James and Sam, I just wanted to check with you. What I was able to do with that bottom one with the top 10 issues is just do an up or down with to show what.
Yeah, that was good. That's kind of what I was after, and it hopefully doesn't take them too long. So that was brilliant.
Yeah, there's no way we could get it in the graphs. It just looked too busy. So we.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah. But it does highlight that our litter on the road is up 94 tickets from last time. And then you've got your graffiti update for our board area. And that's about it from me. Any questions?
Straightforward, very clear. All right, well, thank you, Marianne. Is there a mover for item 11?
Happy to move.
Thank you, Shreesh. A second?
Sam, had his hand up.
Oh, Sam, do you want a second? Great. And a second. Cool. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? I'll say that again. Any against? No, carried. Great. Thank you. And so now we move into elected members information exchange, item 12. So I'm opening up for any of the community board and the councillors to share anything that they wish to be noted. Yes, mate.
Just one, Lynn Anderson, the CEO of Arana Park, received a New Zealand Order of Merit last Thursday, given by the Governor General. So I think it's, in the past, we've sent letters of
shall we
congratulations.
Yeah.
If the board agrees, that is. I'm happy.
100%.
Anything else? Yes.
I had a question more than something to share. When we had the community service awards night, I was thinking about the JP clinic, which happens at Fendalton Library every Saturday. So it's not one person, but it's actually the organization. This is the only one which runs on a Saturday, I believe, and it's extremely popular. I have seen queues all the way to the street, and there are sometimes 3 to 5 JPs doing it. So just something to consider for future, whether we could nominate a group which is running that and just acknowledge their effort, because it's very, very popular. And
yeah, groups are eligible to be nominated. We've given group awards out quite a few times actually. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jason, I see your hands up.
Yeah, hey, so recently I've been in communications with the Northwood Residents Association because they've been raising some concerns about the intersection at the corner of Radcliffe and Main North Road there. We've raised that one before about the turning arrows and the alignment, but I just wanted to let everyone know, so one of the things they wanted to do was to get the intersection raised for realignment in terms of the way the line markings or just the whole intersection's made up from a traffic flow perspective, not actually maybe reshaping it, but just the way the markings and things are. Because at the moment, I think there's a Ryman's development being put in on the corner. And so then so Ryman's kind of has control over some of the new footpaths and things that are going in around that grassy area where there previously wasn't any. And so because of that, they don't have to, I don't think, consult with council as long as they're following the rules the council has in terms of what they need to do. But what I was just quite keen to do potentially is to get, I think the gentleman's name is Clive, to come in and just have a chat to us as a board, as either a deputation or some kind of format like that, to explain what his concerns are, to see whether that's something we could potentially put on the list of things to do going forward, if it is something which, based on the information he shares with us and then any kind of feedback we can get from the traffic engineers, maybe warrant doing, because they've got some real concerns about it. And I think it's kind of a slightly aside from the redevelopment that's happening by Ryman's. So I just wanted to raise that and let everyone know, and then see if I can contact him and get him to get in touch with Aidan and Marianne and see what we can do.
Yeah, probably would be good to actually do it as a briefing with Clive.
Yeah, I wasn't sure in the format what the best most appropriate format would be. So would that be, should I maybe go back to him and just say, hey, to reach out to you guys, and we'll see if we can set something like that up so they can and let us really know what their issues are and what they'd like to see there, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm happy to get in touch with Clive if you like.
Okay, yeah, I'll flick his details through to you, and
I've
and
got
maybe you can
them.
do that. Oh, you do have him there? Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I think a briefing just gives you more of an opportunity to have a good frank discussion rather than squeeze them into a public forum or something at a board meeting.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking something. Yeah, I didn't think 5 minutes would really be kind of enough time to do that. Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Jason. Aaron, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I agree with Jason on that. It's been an issue for a lot of years, but the problem's always been that when we're waiting on a handover on that road, so it's currently an NZTA road, and so if we could get a date, Marianne, of if we know when that handover will be and it becomes a council road and a council-controlled intersection, because it'd be a lot easier for us to get anywhere and get stuff done and get the arrows or anything changed once it's out.
I'll see what I can find out. You're lucky that we've still got 2 traffic engineers sitting in the room hearing this discussion. So, yeah, we'll follow up on that for you.
Yeah, so that'd be fantastic. Now, the other one I wanted to raise was just around trees. Some of us have had an email again from Norm Withers, former Deputy Mayor of Christchurch, re the tree in Waimairi Road outside. Can't remember the lady's place, might remember. But
It's outside Lorraine Smith's house.
Marianne, how do we go about, do we just do a notice of motion or something to have the tree removed? Because staff just keep going back saying, no, it's a healthy tree, so it stays. Even though it's damaging her property and damaging her mental health, we just, the response to her is sell your house and move, which Norm doesn't really agree with.
I'm just looking at Aidan around the process for that.
Maybe as a start, the board needs to get a memo on what the process actually is.
Yeah, actually, can we do that for the next meeting? Because there's a list. There'll obviously be Cam Place, whether Sharish moves it or I do or Jason or whoever. There's those ones there next to Graham Barber's place, who's been asking for years. And also the one, and he's happy to have trees back there, just the right sort of trees. And then the other one is the one I raised last time, just down the road from there. So if we could get that process in, and then we'll start our deforestation.
Yeah, I think we'll include Dunmurray in that too, Jason.
Yes, please, because I've still got some questions around the process, because there's some vagaries in terms of who an appropriately qualified engineer is to do some of the assessments that you're required to tick off certain steps. It's a little bit vague.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I'll log an action to get a memo about that.
Thank you.
And now we have the example of Cuddleston Drive where they did some replacements, didn't they?
Thank you, Aaron. There's no one else. Has anyone else got anything to share? I was just going to share something about the.
I had one more, just a quick question. Marianne, now, I remember you might or might not know this. What is the fine for cutting down a tree if a resident gets caught doing that?
I think it's about $300
is what I remember.
something like that. I think we've been told in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it would be referred to the police.
Yeah, it would be referred to the police, and they're possibly getting themselves into all sorts of difficulties. So it's certainly not something I would be recommending.
Yeah, I think that 300 is if you cut down a protected tree on your own property. It's cutting down one on council land might be slightly different. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Jason. I just have a quick message about the Keep Christchurch Beautiful Awards. So they are open at the moment. So if any of you know of any great organisations, residents, students, sporting organisations, I guess the list is sort of open, then please think about nominating them for a Keep Christchurch Beautiful Award. If you do know of a few, then happy for me to pass you on Linda's email address. She's the person that is obviously running Keep Christchurch Beautiful, but it would be great to recognise those people that are making an environmental and sustainable difference in their community.
back in my day, it was called Miss Canterbury, but it's all changed now.
All changed now. Jason, I see your hands up.
Yeah, sorry, there was one more thing from me. I just thought I'd try something different in terms of community engagement recently, and bravely took the chance and chucked up a poll on the local community page just around people's thoughts about, you know, park improvements and things along those lines. And it was actually really positive that we had like some suggestions around the Bishopdale Park and some improvements there. That there's like 90% of over 300 people were keen to see some improvements to like picnic tables and barbecue type facilities at Bishopdale Park. So that was yeah, it was just a really interesting bit of feedback and experiment to try. So it could be a good opportunity for people if they are looking to gauge interest in from their residents in certain parts of town, if they have a community group, to chuck some polls up on their page and see how they go. It's a good way to gauge some feedback. It actually got really good engagement.
That's fantastic. Good work.
Thanks, Jason. All right, if there's nothing else, no other elected members information exchange, then what I will do is move on to item 13, which is to move into PX. So what I will say is, for those live streaming, it's time for us to say goodbye. And we're now going to move into PX. So I need a mover.
Hey, Bridget.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, I just had a question on that when I read the agenda. Do we need to go into PX for it? Because at council, we can move minutes in the public that are PX.
Oh.
So we can do that, but in this case, there's something that we need to clarify about the minutes.
Yeah, so if they're, yeah, okay.
So in normal circumstances, we could have done it in the open, but in this case, there's something a little more complicated.
Does that make sense, Sam?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
Awesome. All right. So if I can have a mover for item number 13. Thank you, mate. And a seconder. See Sharish. All right. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Oh, carried. Great. Okay. So we're moving into the public excluded agenda, which takes us to item 14.
Can you just give us a moment?
Oh, yeah.
Presume that could start.
Oh.
No,
we're right.
yeah, you'll start.
We're just going to stop.
Oh, yeah.